Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where people ask questions, get advice, and we get satisfaction. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, Landlord Having Intercourse in Communal Garden? Hey, I am in England. I live in a building that is split into 3 flats. The ground floor is lived in by the landlord who owns the building, with the upstairs split into 2 flats. One faces the road and the other, mine, overlooks the garden. We all have access to the garden. A few months ago, the landlord added a glass greenhouse sort of thing to the garden. The roof is entirely transparent and is at an angle facing my window. He originally stated it was to be for all of us to use for drying laundry instead of bringing damp into the house, and set up a dryer and dehumidifier in there. It seemed great. In the past few weeks, he has however moved a mattress out there and has been lying on it in the nude and having intercourse there. The roof has an exhaust port thing that points at my window, so if I am airing out my flat with it open a crack, I get a direct delivery of adult video sounds and intercourse sounds. Is there anything I can do? It is only my flat who can see and hear this. It is not visible from the road. I tried bringing it up, but he shrugged it off and said, "Just don't look." I have a young child though, so this is just awkward. Edit, I have decided it is best to write a physical letter to him emphasizing my concerns about my daughter accidentally seeing them. I don't want to sour my relationship with him, as he has been an excellent landlord otherwise. I am hoping that a letter will both be seen by his partner, so she might stop and will make it clear that there's more to my worry than just prudishness. I will post an update once something changes, whether it be to report he has promised to stop or to get some reassurance on contacting police as the next step. Thank you all for your advice. And a user in the comments said, if you can physically see the act taking place, then it may be grounds for contacting the police regarding outraging public decency. But in the first instance, perhaps a lightly worded email to your landlord may cause the events to stop. Update to the naked landlord's story. Last week I posted needing advice regarding a situation with my landlord having intercourse in a greenhouse entirely visible from my window. Because I really did not want to cause a serious issue by getting police involved unnecessarily, I decided to first try a proper letter. I printed out a nice letter basically saying that while I would not care nearly as much if we were all adults, I do have a small child and I am very uncomfortable with her being able to have a bird's eye view of the goings on. And by the way, isn't that the ongoings? Anyway, this seems to have done the trick. Apparently the landlord and wife/partner were not aware of just how visible it was from my window. They have both apologized profusely and she seemed totally scandalized. I let them know I wasn't angry, but it was very awkward with a child, and they essentially said that they had been going stir crazy with lockdown and had not really been thinking clearly about their actions. The landlord has moved the mattress out of the greenhouse entirely, replacing it with a small table and chairs. I have only spotted them out there having breakfast since. It is obviously early days, but I feel that this has probably fixed the issue. I am also happy that I have not ruined the relationship with my landlord. They said they had mostly forgotten I had a child at all, as she is so quiet despite them living below. So I think this is about as positive an outcome as I could have hoped for. Thank you to everyone here who offered advice and made me confident that I was in the right to push it further. I feel silly as I should have thought to send a letter myself first, but I thought telling him directly would be as effective. Well guys, and if you have watched until here, I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support my channel. Thank you very much in advance, your help is very much appreciated. And the next one is titled, Wife was fired from permanent position whilst on maternity leave. My wife is currently on maternity leave. She was in a full-time role as a quantity surveyor that started in April 2019. Her maternity started mid-January 2020 and she was due to go back to work in January 2021. Unfortunately, she received a phone call today from her line manager after spending the last month or so trying to organize keep in touch days, stating that her contract had been terminated. The reason her line manager gave was, and I am quoting verbatim, "You were not the right fit." Her line manager advised that they would pay her 3 months full salary for which she would not need to do any work for, and she needed to decide whether she wanted that upfront as a single payment or over 3 months. Understandably, my wife is devastated, made somewhat worse by her line manager admitting he advised people she had contacted about work-related things, KIT days, projects she would be working on, etc. to not respond. As you can probably imagine, I have contacted an employment lawyer with regards to an unfair dismissal case and am currently awaiting a call back. What I wanted to clarify was whether this is as obvious a case of unfair dismissal as it appears to be, as she has been there for less than 2 years. Can anyone clarify? Edit, thank you to all that replied, it's really helped. Unfortunately, the first law company I spoke to did not have the capacity, but Pregnant and Then Screwed rang me back and took the details. They have forwarded it immediately to one of their lawyers, so hopefully that gets the ball rolling. And a user in the comments said, "You might want to check out Pregnant Then Screwed who offer advice. Not sure if I can link, but they've got a legal advice hotline and should come up if you Google." Another person said, "You will, I suspect, be claiming for unfair dismissal due to pregnancy/maternity related dismissal. This does not require a 2-year wait period, as it is considered automatically unfair unless they can show otherwise. They need to provide written reasons behind the dismissal. You have made the right move contacting a solicitor who can walk you through this." And Ripe Stars, I'm wondering, have you ever been unjustly/unfairly fired from your workplace? And if so, what did you do in retaliation if you did anything? Update to the maternity leave story. Just writing an update to the original thread now that we have reached a settlement. So following my post, I got a hold of Pregnant Then Screwed, who forwarded the details to one of their network of employment lawyers. A short while later we get a call from the lawyer and go through the details of the issue. Through Pregnant and Then Screwed we were given a 3-hour consultation. This was sufficient time to discuss the details and even have the lawyer go through the 2 emails we were advised to write. The first being an outline of our grievance and the second a list of our requirements in order to settle the matter. About 3 weeks later we finally get a reply from the wife's boss, essentially just trying to refute the points raised, but he, important later on, contradicted himself on a number of points. We forwarded the email to the lawyer and she drafts a response, eviscerating his points and laying out a strong case for discrimination. So at this point we feel pretty confident and expect to start negotiating the settlement amount when he replies. But then we get the curviest of curveballs. A response from her boss stating that the purpose of the call was to start a dialogue about terminating her contract, but as this has not happened, we are expecting her back in the office at the end of her maternity period. Apart from his claim about no dialogue being complete BS, we had responded to all his emails. In fact, he was the one who had not responded to us, namely our settlement terms email. The thought of going back there after what happened was devastating for my wife and had a real negative effect on her mental health. Not as if we need more of that at the moment. At a bit of a loss on what to do next, I gave ACAS a call, and to be fair, they were really helpful. The person I spoke to explained that we needed to exhaust all internal procedures and raise a formal grievance to make sure we cover our backs if/when it went to employment tribunal. One thing I had not quite grasped is that you have 3 months less 1 day from the date of the discrimination to apply for an employment tribunal. This period includes the formal grievance and appeal stages. This nearly caught us out. The best bit of advice I got was to set a deadline when requesting a meeting for the formal grievance. As long as you give sufficient time for them to investigate your claims, it can be as soon as you want. In our case, we had a paper trail and notes from the initial call, so was straightforward enough. Roughly a week later, we have our meeting via Skype with the other business partner and his wife, who was HR boss. My wife asked if I could join, given she was allowed another person with her, which they were fine with. They also agreed to allow us to record the entire meeting, which was a bonus, though they are probably regretting that now. A lot of first half of the meeting was mainly waffle from them about their company values and that they would never discriminate nor treat employees like that. My particular favorite was the partner saying he had only ever been treated well by his employees, and that is because you're the boss, you dick. We eventually get around to discussing the initial call, and they try and tell my wife that she was the one unhappy and wanted to leave. The wife refuted this in the strongest terms possible, to put it bluntly, and asked them why she would be trying all year to contact her colleagues and catch up on work whilst requesting keep in touch days if she simply wanted to leave. To top it off, why would her boss offer her 3 times her notice as a settlement when he need to only offer a month? Complete pretzel logic from them. They seemed to agree with us on that, but were still refuting she was discriminated against. So I asked the partner what was the reason given by her boss as to why she should have her contract terminated. Have any other members of staff had their contract terminated recently? Crickets, followed by bumbling, followed by a reluctant no. Then finally, why in that case was my wife singled out for contract termination? Again, crickets. Full of beans at this point, I gave them a bit of stick for not having the answers to these questions, as we had specifically asked them in our formal grievance documentation, and gave them time to investigate this. On reflection, they are a small company in size and mindedness, so likely we are not familiar with the procedure, but that is their issue, not ours. So we end the call with them giving my wife 2 choices: come back as normal or agree a settlement. Lo and behold, a few days later we get a settlement amount that was agreeable and not too far off our initial one sent back in October. As of today, the wife is free from that company and is already looking to start a new job soon. A definite weight has been lifted. For your information, dressing down C-level management for making mistakes is incredibly cathartic. Big thanks to everyone who offered advice in the initial post, it really helped, and a special thanks to Pregnant then Screwed, who were fantastic. And the last one is titled, Garage have given my car to someone as a courtesy car. Hi, last week our car went into the garage, England, to have some repairs to the engine under warranty. Yesterday we were called and told to come pick it up. When we arrived, they could not find the car and were looking for over an hour before finally admitting that they have given it to another customer as a courtesy car. I am obviously furious and have been given no indication of when we will be getting it back. It was not even clear if they knew who they had given it to. I am wondering what my next steps should be with regards to raising a complaint and looking at seeking compensation and or covering myself for any problems such as scratches etc. that may come up when I get it back, planning for the worst case scenario. Any advice on how to proceed with this would be much appreciated, as I cannot imagine this is legal. Update. Firstly, thanks for all the advice. Secondly, just to clarify a few things, I already have a courtesy car, so that is taken care of, though now I am wondering if some poor bloke's not looking for it. I'm not trying to get a cash payout or anything, I just wanted to make sure I am covered for anything like tickets etc., and people have helped with that. Lastly, I am mostly bothered about getting my car back in one piece and as it was, and for not letting them get away with it if the car is not in perfect condition. Anyway, I've been to the garage and amazingly they still don't have it. They are trying to retrieve it. I have informed the police and the insurance. As things stand, I should have it back by the end of the day. Obviously, I will be checking the car when I get it and I expect it to be cleaned etc. If anyone has advice on what to do if it is not perfect, then that would be appreciated. And I am not currently naming the brand and garage, as I may use this to get free servicing etc. as compensation. The car is 2 years old and a supposedly premium brand. Another update, I called the garage as no one got back to me by the promised time. They now have my car, but the whole servicing department have now gone home. They left before the time they had promised to call me by, so I cannot get the car until Monday. I am writing a complaint and will be sending it to both the manufacturer and the dealership's head office. I won't be taking the car back until it has been thoroughly checked and signed off as perfect. Final update, I now have the car back. The garage have had the car valeted, thrown a few little extras in and are giving me free mod and servicing for a couple of years. In addition, I have had an independent specialist company go in and check the whole vehicle over today, which they have picked up the considerable bill for. They have also agreed to repair anything that does come up in the next 12 months if it did. It's been serviced and had the wheels aligned, etc. I have had to chase them even today, and until they realized it was me, they've been rude and abrupt each time I call, so I cannot say I am satisfied with their service, but the important thing is I have the car back and it is all in sound condition. Not too exciting an end, I know, but from my perspective the one I wanted. Thanks for all the advice. And the last one is titled, "That time Grandma thinks I have a drinking problem and arranges an intervention." Posted by user Captain Dropbear on r/ripe stories. Therefore, please consider this as a bonus story as it has nothing to do with legal advice. This is a tale from when I was a lot younger, my Fabio days, and yes, I could tell that crap was not butter. Back in those days, I had a night job working the graveyard shift. Having broken up with my girlfriend of the time, I moved back into my parents' place while I sorted out how to get her out of my house. So after work, 6 AM, I would nuke the leftover dinner my mom would have set aside for me, grab my bottle of Jimmy and sit on the back terrace eating and drinking after a hard night's work. Back in those days, my grandma would come around every day to have breakfast with my mom about 8 AM. So, after 2 hours of drinking, I would normally be ready to sleep the morning away. So, you guessed it, Grandma would set me light buzz on as I walked up the hall to bed after a stinky booze and smoke breath kiss on the cheek. Hi Grandma, good night Grandma. Now, Grandma was a teetotaling hellfire and brimstone Bible basher back in those days, and yes, she finally saw the light and changed her ways years later, so seeing me drink every morning worried her. So one morning, Grandma decided enough was enough, so had apparently arranged a family intervention. We are talking my entire extended family, Bible basher side only, and her priest. All turned up at 7 AM, Mom and Stepdad had no idea. Brochures in hand, they all come out onto the terrace to talk to me and make me see the error of my ways and accept that invisible man in the sky who knows all and sees all and loves me. Stalker alert. So I lit another cigarette, poured another drink and sat and listened to them all for half an hour. Finally, as it was really time for me to go to sleep. So I said, "You all do realize I work night shifts." Pause to take another swig and puff. I start work at 9 PM and work till 5 AM, so for me, this is my evening. Your breakfast time is my dinner time. A few stunned mullet looks and a lot of apologies later, I finally got to bed. For the following week it was, "Hi Grandma, hope you're not on the juice this early in the morning. We may have to do an intervention. Good night." My mom asked me to stop as she did not want to explain juice to Grandma. 20 years later, when I was visiting Grandma at breakfast time, there was no juice on the table when I asked, and she said, "Oh, I remember you telling me it is too early for juice." Anyway, I'm smarter than your average bear sometimes, but damn, Grandma got me good both those mornings. Take care everyone, I still have the hair, it is just more grey now. And guys, you know, I've never thought about that, but actually, when you work night shifts, that is pretty much the only viable excuse for you to drink in the morning. Because obviously, as Captain Dropbear said, the morning essentially becomes your night/evening. And guys, unfortunately, we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.